Friday's box office numbers are out, and it's difficult to tell whether or not Dark Phoenix or Men in Black International is having the worst run in the US domestic market. Men in Black International got a dismal $10.4 million for Friday. That includes the $3.1 million reported for its advanced screening money. So if we take that away, it got about $7 million, which is only slightly more money than The Secret Life of Pets 2. So Men in Black International very nearly wasn't the biggest film on its Friday debut, and it may very well not be the biggest film on Saturday or Sunday. So The Secret Life of Pets 2 could overtake it on those days. And Dark Phoenix got only $2.3 million for its second Friday. Use whatever adjective you want. It's terrible, it's calamitous, it's horrific, dismal. Whatever word you want to use doesn't really give it justice to just how bad it is. There is a slight bit of good news in that is a 60% increase from its Thursday amount. A 60% increase is a fairly okay amount of an increase when lots of people are on holidays. So if it isn't a holiday period, if there's not, for example, a lot of schools or colleges on holidays right now in the US domestic market, you'd probably look at about 100% increase as being normal. But when lots of people are available to see films during the week, you get something about like a 60% increase. And you can see here that Secret Life of Pets 2 got a 55% increase, Aladdin got a 55% increase. Now they're both more geared towards a younger market, so they would have a smaller amount of people can actually go see it on Friday night. And so for a Friday screening, Aladdin and Secret Life of Pets 2 would be expected to be a bit under a more general film like Dark Phoenix, and it was slightly under it here. But you can see Godzilla, for example, it got 61%. So that's a fairly normal increase at this time of year. So that's good news for Dark Phoenix in that it's hit some sort of normalcy, whereas its Thursday number was terrible compared to Wednesday. Wednesday was horrible compared to Monday. Monday was 69% down from Sunday. So it was all bad and getting worse. Here it's maybe stabilized a little bit to this terrible amount of money, $2.3 million for its second Friday. We've also got Shaft, which was just released. It's got $2.7 million with its combined advanced screening and Friday totals. I think they were looking at something like maybe a $20 million plus opening weekend for that at some point. Certainly not going to be getting anything like that at this stage. Godzilla got $2.1 million, which not bad for where Godzilla was sitting at. Rocketman was actually earning more money than Dark Phoenix on Thursday, so Dark Phoenix has just overtaken Rocketman, so I suppose that's a little bit of more good news for Dark Phoenix. And John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, it got a pretty big increase compared to the rest of them, 83%. The only other thing I note really is Avengers Endgame here earned under $1 million. So $1 million for a Friday for Avengers Endgame. Not unexpected at all, pretty much in line of what you would think it would actually earn. It's way into its run now, but not super good news for whether or not it can beat Avatar. So it really needs to be getting more money than that if it's going to become the biggest film of all time. Now, Deadline had an article out, which I did use in my last two videos, and they were projecting out what they thought Men in Black International and Dark Phoenix would get for this weekend. They said they thought Men in Black International would get $25 million, and they thought it would get about $10 million for the Friday. And here we've got the Friday number out, $10.4 million, so pretty much spot on. They've slightly revised up their total to 26.3, but their projection, very, very, very good once again. A lot of their projections that they put out within about, let's say, 12 hours of the official numbers coming out, they've been very good. So they've got a lot of good contacts there. They do predictions earlier in the week, and, some are good and some are bad. But the ones they've been doing sort of, 12 hours earlier than the real Friday figures come out, they've been really good for a lot of films. And they were good for Dark Phoenix. I said Dark Phoenix would get $33 million last weekend, and it got 32.8, so pretty close there. They did say they thought the Dark Phoenix would get about, I think it was $7.6 million. They revised it up to 8.3. Still a terrible amount of money. So $8.3 million for the second weekend for Dark Phoenix. That's so bad, absolutely so bad. That'll bring its total to only $51 million in the US domestic market. It, who knows what it'll get internationally, but it probably needed somewhere in the lines of $150 to $200 million in the US market to break even. So obviously it could earn more internationally and then get to earn less in the US market to break even, but that's roughly the kind of figure it needed. $51 million is just not going to get there. So it's going to lose lots of money, probably maybe $150 million, maybe $200 million And as I said in my last video for Dark Phoenix may be one of, if not the biggest loss-making films of all time, because it's got a very large budget and it's absolutely collapsed. That's what we might be looking at here, one of the biggest actual loss makers ever. The other films we have here, we've got Rocketman. It's going to get basically the exact same kind of money that Dark Phoenix gets this weekend in their projections, so again, not good news for Dark Phoenix. Godzilla, they're predicting, won't out-earn Dark Phoenix. I thought there was half a chance that that may happen because Dark Phoenix was just going so poorly. And Shaft, they're now predicting, will get $7.1 million over the weekend. And early on, I said before, I think about $20 million or $20 million plus was what the early sort of target or talk was. Nothing like that's happening here. And on this chart here, I've got some of the contemporary films out right now. John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, Pokemon Detective Pikachu, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and Dark Phoenix. And I've also got another 2 movies there as reference points. I've got Godzilla from 1999 and Alien Covenant. So I was using the Godzilla from 1999 as a baseline to see if Godzilla King of the Monsters could out-earn where that actually is. It was in front of it when it opened up, but we can see quite clearly here the green line cut across through the yellow line, and it is going to earn less money than the Godzilla from 20 years ago. And that amount of money from that Godzilla film, that's not with any inflation. So this is just the raw number from 1999, not the inflation-adjusted number, which would be more than twice where it actually is here. So that's how badly Godzilla King of the Monsters is running. And I've also got Alien Covenant to compare against Dark Phoenix. That was my example of a film with a very similar opening weekend, but with about the worst result I could find. And I said, if Dark Phoenix actually bombs hard, it may curl underneath that at some point. Well, that didn't quite happen. It never curled under it as such because it started under it. So it's been under it basically all the way ever since Saturday. So Friday was very similar. Saturday was quite close. Sunday was worse. Monday was worse, and so on. And you can see clearly the light blue line is under the purple line. It's probably not going to get over the purple line. It's going to earn less money than Alien Covenant earned in the US market, which was about $74 million. And the other 2 films here, John Wick Chapter 3, beating all of the rest of them here, doing quite well, and Pokemon Detective Pikachu not quite earning the kind of money that John Wick Chapter 3 is going to get, but it's getting a sort of okay-ish amount of money for where it's at. It does have quite a big budget, not as big as Dark Phoenix's budget, but it has got a quite large budget, so it does have to get a decent amount of money to actually break even. John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, its budget was $40 million. It's way past that already, so John Wick Chapter 3, very profitable, even though it's an R-rated film. So once again, it's difficult to know which adjective to pick as to what to describe the Men in Black and the Dark Phoenix box offices like. Dark Phoenix obviously 1 week ahead of Men in Black, so we'll have to wait to see if Men in Black can die off to the extent that Dark Phoenix did. Dark Phoenix did have a much larger opening weekend than Men in Black International, but Dark Phoenix does have a much larger budget as well. There's a few figures going around for the Men in Black International budget. Around about $100 million is what's being thrown out there. But a few of the articles from Deadline claim that their sources tell them that internally they're saying it needs $300 million to break even. So $300 million from Men in Black International, that might be pretty tough to get. And I did have a video from a few days ago saying that Dark Phoenix needed, I think it was $580 million to break even. That's not going to happen at all. So Dark Phoenix is losing a big load of money. Men in Black International, it looks bad right now, but maybe it can recover. Maybe it can actually get $300 million, particularly from the international box office, but it doesn't look like it so far. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.